Hello, this is Ebonygeek. You're always welcome to join me in expanding your knowledge base. Comments are always welcome, and please subscribe. Hello, this is Ebonygeek45. Today is a great day to learn something. I had a problem getting videos up the way I would like because I have had a massive crash on my laptop, which is where I do a lot of editing for both my Windows videos and my Ubuntu videos. So that has caused me a problem. Now that I have it running so again, it's not quite the way I want it, but it's running so. But I don't have my Arduino or my Eclipse. I should be able to just install it, right? But I ran into some roadblocks. In this laptop, you was installed a specific way, and in the case that you can't get your Eclipse to come up normal like everybody else, then you may benefit from this video. Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, one of the things that I'm big on is knowing what system you have and what version you have. So let's right click on our little icon here, our Microsoft icon, and we're going to choose system. And when our Windows come up, you'll pretty much see the information you need. I have Windows 8.1 system, okay? I have a 64-bit operating system. That's all we need to know. We have Windows 8, 64-bit operating system. That's going to be important to know later. Okay, so once we did that, let's go ahead and get our Eclipse started, because I'm going to double click this Eclipse and show you what I'm getting. Error. Could not create the Java machine. Well, that's the other one. So there's a couple little issues and everything like that, and rather than try to just pick it apart all one by one, I'm just gonna start all over. We have all our downloads for our Arduino and everything, but our Eclipse is just being stubborn. So we're just gonna do the Eclipse install on this video, and once the Eclipse is done, then you could go ahead and follow along with the Arduino videos with your Eclipse working from the start. So let's go ahead and get the Eclipse version going. Okay, next thing we need to do is get our compiler working. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our browser. I have Google Chrome, so I'm just going to double click on my Google Chrome icon and I get this. Alright, so I Google everything, and I'm pretty sure that's not the first time you heard me say that. So let's go ahead and get our Google up. Okay, now once I Google up, the first thing we want to do is GW. And let's just go download. That should be fine. Okay. And this is what we're looking for. GW, Minimalistics, GNU for Windows. Click it. I'm on the Windows system for now. For Windows, let's go ahead and scroll down to downloads. We want to choose, this one should be fine. So let's go ahead and double click that. It's gonna load. It may take a moment. Once it has downloaded fully, if you're on Chrome, you're gonna get an icon down here. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, this is what we're coming up with, so let's start our install. Let's click on install. Location, and keep that in mind. If yours is like mine, if you want to change it, I would say just make sure you're changing it to somewhere you'll remember. I'm leaving it where it is as the C directory. So I'm going to continue. Okay, and it's loading pretty well, and that was pretty fast. So we're gonna see how this is going. We may edit a little bit out if it takes too long. You do have a time limit here. Once it's done, everything is gonna do here. It says process 109 of 109, so we have 100% done. Click on continue. Okay, it's gonna bring you to this MenGW. Let me bring my window over a little bit. MenGW installation manager. Okay, we want to choose MenGW32 base. You want to right click on it, mark for installation. That's our first one. Now we want the GCC G++. Now these are very important that you do. So right click on it, mark for installation, and that one's done. The next one we want is MSys dash base. Okay, so right click on it, mark for installation. That's done. That's the three that you want. After that's done, okay, we're gonna click our installation here, and we're gonna go ahead and do apply changes. Okay, then we're gonna click apply. This one may take a moment. In the case that it do, go ahead and get yourself some donuts and a coffee. Okay, and when it's all done, it'll give you this message saying all changes were applied successfully. You may now close the dialog. So, and that's how we know that it's all done. So let's go ahead and close this. And we're done here, so let's close this. So the next thing that we would need to do is download Eclipse again. Well, that's the general order that I like to go in. Like I said, I Google everything. I went a little bit too far that time. So let's go Eclipse, since that's what we're trying to get working perfectly so that we could do our Arduino setup on it without any problems. And a lot of times you need to do all this if you're starting with a new system and you didn't have Eclipse on it. So that's why I'm doing this video. Okay, so we're downloading Eclipse. Actually, let's just do Eclipse downloads. That's just okay. Once we get to this one, do we want to scroll down to Eclipse IDE for C++. Now, it knows I'm on Windows. That's why it's giving me the Windows selection. And what I would need to do is just choose, do I have a 32-bit or a 64-bit? Well, remember when we first started out and we went into our systems menu? Remember, I had a 64-bit, so put whatever you had. If you had a 32-bit, click on a 32-bit. So I'm going to click on a 64-bit for Eclipse IDE for C++ developers. Okay. We have a download right here. I think that's perfect, so I'm clicking on it. It's downloading. And when you're doing these, make sure that your downloads are fully downloaded. This one is still saying it has 42 seconds. So don't just click on it and then go in and think that it's going to work, because in some cases it take a minute to download. This one is actually going pretty fast. But just make sure that your downloads are fully downloaded before you try it, because if you don't, you'll come up with errors and you'll be wondering why. As you can see, it turned to the name. It don't have any kind of time frames or anything, so we're good here. So let's go ahead and double click on it. Okay, we have our Eclipse. Well, we actually have a download here. It says Eclipse Mars. Let's go ahead and copy this folder. See, this was the original Luna that I did. And it was a 32. So that was one of the issues. And I actually got a newer version than Luna, and it's in a 64-bit, so I say go with it. So let's go ahead and cut it out of your downloads, and I normally just put it in a folder, and it's going to be my C folder. I like to put these files in the C folder so that I can make sure there's no spaces in between the folder that I created, and that's saying Luna Ardu. I want to change it, and I'm going to do a double click, kind of. You will click on it, and then you'll pause and click on it again. That way you could change the name. I'm going to put Mars Ardu, because apparently I got a newer version than Luna. So I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to paste the folder in this folder. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and click on it. We're going to do an extract all and extract. It's going to extract it here to this folder. It may take a minute. Okay, so we're done with the extraction. And what we're going to do now is we're going to actually cut that folder. We're going to paste it outside of the folder that we're dealing with. We're going to go continue. Now the reason I'm doing that is so that there's a copy of the zipped extracted folder. So I'm going to go back into this folder. We have our Eclipse folder here. I'm just going to click on it, pause, and click again so that I can rename it. And the reason you're click on it and pausing, then clicking again, is so that it'll actually allow you to rename it. Okay, so now that we have our Eclipse folder, we have our Arduino folder. I'm going to drag the Arduino, click and drag it into Eclipse. Okay, so that our files look like this. Now I'm gonna here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to click on this and drag it into this Eclipse folder, and then I'm gonna cut this Eclipse folder out of this folder because I don't want two Eclipse folders. That'll just make it awkward. So we pasted it into the folder that's outside of the first Eclipse folder. Okay, so we have everything set. Okay, so with that all being set up the way we want it, now we're going to go to the next part. But before we do the next part, let's go ahead and get back into Eclipse. We want to go ahead and select eclipse.exe. We want to right click on it and we want to send it to desktop. Okay, that way we'll have a shortcut on the desktop, just the way I had it before. So let's go ahead and get out of this one. Okay, so we have our Mars Ardu folder. It's set up the way it needs to be set up. As you can see, we have our min.gw folder in this folder now, and that was freshly dropped in there. We're gonna go ahead and install Java now, and I did have a couple installs of Java, and I just want to delete those because they didn't work for me. Okay, so What we're going to do at this point is we're going to go to Google again. Google is my old faithful. I could get to anything to Google. So we're just going to search Java. That's all we're going to search for. And we're going to go with just the first selection. Then we're going to go with free Java download. Okay. Let's go see our Java downloads. Okay, so we're going to come down here. It doesn't have a 34-bit, but I'm going to say that this top one is the 34-bit. This one here is the 64-bit. I'm going with the 64-bit because that's what I have. If you have 34-bit, go with this one. And so I'm going to click on it. It's actually installing now. So we have now our Java. So pulling up our setup, we're going to start our install. And of course, Java has these windows that everybody is familiar with. So we're going to let that install. You may come up with an out-of-date Java versions detected. I don't know why I'm coming up with it because this is a fresh restart after a crash. But let's go with it. So I'm going to click the uninstall that it's asking me to click. Okay, and it's going to do its thing and get the newer stuff on here. May have something to do with the ones that I did before. And we're waiting and we should be done in momentarily. Here we're saying that the uninstallation is complete, so we're just going to click next. Okay, it's saying you have successfully installed Java, and I hope so because that was pretty quick after clicking next for the uninstall. Okay, it's saying you will be prompted when Java updates are available, blah, blah, blah. And so we're going to close it out. Okay, so we should now have a current version of Java on the system. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do some paths. Something that you should know, paths are very important in Windows. The sooner you get to used to working with them, the better. You want to not mess around in the paths more than you have to, because if you mess around and delete something, it's going to be a whole lot of troubleshooting, figuring out what you did if you didn't mean to do it. So let's go ahead and get some things in paths that we need to get in paths so that our Eclipse version works. So we're going to right click on this Microsoft little thingy here, and let's go to control panel, I believe. We're going to go to system and security. We're going to go to system. Okay, and we are right back where we were when we started, when we looked for the version and how many bits we had. So this time we're going to click on Advanced System Settings. You're going to have a system property box. We want to go down to Environment Variables. Okay, so we're going to set that to the side because we're going to need that. Okay, now you want to go down to your folders. And I'm gonna right click and choose File Explorer. Get a new window up. Why are we doing this? Because we need to actually find our path. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna locate our Java file first. Mine normally would tend to be, I believe, in program files. Then we have our Java, and we did the JRE. As you can see, I have a JDK in there, but the most recent one is the JRE. So we're going to double click in there. We're looking for the bin folder. We want to double click in there. Now once we have the bin folder, we're not going to do anything in here. We're going to click in the address bar. It's going to highlight everything. We want to copy that. So right click on top of it and copy it. Okay. Now we want to go over to our system environment window that we left open. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to go down here. And what you want to do is make sure you're being very careful when you're in your paths. Okay, a lot of times people say you should never change what's in your system variables. You should always change what's in your user variables. And they're right. And I'm going to repeat, they're right. But me, I always do things the hard way, so I'm going to put a disclaimer here. Be very careful because you can mess things up. So just be very careful. If you just do a systematic type of adding to, then you shouldn't run into any problems. But don't go messing around in here unnecessarily. Find your path. Okay, click on it and you're going to click on edit. As you remember, we already have a path to our Java copied already. So now you're going to click in your variables values box. Just use your arrow. Make sure you're not using delete or anything. Just use your arrows and go all the way to the end of the line. Okay. Now as you can see, mine is the Windows Live shared blah blah blah. Okay, so I'm going to add a semicolon. That's the one with the period on top and the comma on the bottom. So that's semicolon. We're going to paste after semicolon our path to our Java bin. But let's go ahead and click OK, just to make sure nothing happens while we're away from it. So let's go ahead and we got to do some more paths. So the next path that we have to do, I'm just checking my notes because I want to do all this in one run. So the next path that we have to do is going to be to our Ming, our compiler bin. So let's go ahead and go back to our C file because remember that's where it's at. So we were using this file for our Java. So I'm just going to click on my C file. Pops us right back here. Now we want this min.gw, so double click it. We want to go in the bin, double click it. This is just like what we did with Java. So we want to go ahead and click in our address box. We want to copy the path to our compiler bin. So let's go ahead and go back out. Okay. I'm looking for my environment variables window. Okay. And I'm actually going to have to do some troubleshooting here. Okay, so we're going back out to our environments variable window. Okay, we're going back into the path, so choose path. Okay, I'm clicking on it and it automatically brings it up. Go ahead and put your cursor back in there and go all the way to the end. It shouldn't be that far. Okay, so then add your semicolon to the end, and then I'm doing Ctrl and V to paste it, or you can right click it and paste it. Okay, so you should have the semicolon after your Java path, and then starting your Ming path, you will have after the semicolon C, or your path to your compiler bin. Okay, should look just like this or something like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and go okay. We have one more to do, I believe. Let's go back to our folders. Click on the folder that you found your bin in. Now, I'm going to go up to my address bar and I'm just going to click on MinGW. Okay. Now, because we want to actually do MSys. So, let's go ahead and click into MSys. Let's click the 1.0. We want to go into that bin. Okay. And of course, just like the other two, we're going to copy the path to our bin for our MSys. So copy it. We're going to go back to our system's variables. Okay, we're going to click on path and edit. And just like we did before, I'm going to try to get my cursor position right at the end of our compiler, our last compiler. We're going to add the semicolon, and then we're going to add our last location that we're going to add to the path. So with that being the last location, we're going to leave that right there at bin, and we're going to go okay. Okay, so we're done here. So we're going to go okay again, and we're going to go okay again. Okay, and I got to do some cleaning up, and that's what happens when you go back to do things. So let's go ahead and more than likely you don't have to do this, but I'm just doing it because I made a mistake. You should only have one shortcut here if you follow what I did. Okay, I have to, so I'm just gonna delete them both. So I'm not sure which one is right. I'm gonna go into my Eclipse folder and I'm gonna right click on it. I'm gonna choose send to desktop. That should send the most current one. Now we are here, so let's go ahead and just pull everything down, because at this point it should work, right? So I'm just gonna pull it over. I'm gonna click on it because I'm just wanting Eclipse. Delete all that. Okay, actually I'm gonna go Eclipse Ardu, because that's what this version is gonna be for me. Let's double click it and cross our fingers. And there we go. We have our Eclipse Mars successfully brought up. No errors. And that's how you get past those problems that I showed you at first. And so this is the newest version. I'm going to run through it and add my Arduino and everything. And I'm going to hope that I don't have any problems with it. If I do, I will put it in the comments. And if I do, I will be going with the Luna install. So if you are following through and you're running into problems as far as errors and all that, just go ahead, go back and delete everything that you did prior to and follow along with this tutorial, because as you can see, I was having errors too. I had to back out of some things. I had to actually uninstall some things. One of the issues that I would say, make sure you match. If you have 32-bit, get 32-bit installs. If you have a 64-bit, get 64-bit installs. That can cause issues. So I'm going to say have a great rest of your day. Happy coding, happy tinkering, because today was a great day to learn something. Bye-bye. I'm Ebonygeek, and I hope that the information provided has been helpful to you. Please remember to subscribe. Happy building and happy coding.